Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey all, thank you so much for joining us today. We've got some fun topics to talk about today, and Matt's in rare form as always, so I'm sure we'll get a lot of good fun laughs out of him today. So welcome. We appreciate you listening for sure.
I'm not speaking now. 'Cause
Whatever.
You said that.
I had to say it just because I know how you are. So what's our topic today, Matt?
Okay, so we have a really interesting topic today. We are going to talk about Delta 9 in CBD, how that fits into the 2018 Farm Bill, and the loophole that it presents that is creating some very interesting products that are federally legal in most states and have, until this podcast, gone unnoticed. So we're kind of ripping the Band-Aid off here. Hopefully no one is listening that will be like, hey, I'm going to do something about that. If you are, kiss my ass. I don't care. So anyway, there are some new products out with a impressively high volume of Delta 9 THC. They're CBD products, hemp-derived. And when I say impressive amount, I'm not talking, California or Colorado dispensary amount of THC, but I'm definitely enough of a dose that if you need it for a medical purpose or even a recreational purpose, you can get a surprising amount of Delta 9 in there.
Well, first, why don't you tell people what THC is?
Okay, so
'Cause you're
THC.
jumping forward really quickly.
Well, if you haven't listened to the podcast and you've been living under a rock, crawl out of the rock, stretch out in the sunshine. Next, learn about THC. THC is a cannabinoid in the cannabinoid profile that is naturally occurring within the hemp and cannabis plant, which is the cannabis sativa L, which is the same plant. And we'll actually get into that, the definitions, which we've already covered in another podcast, but this will require a bit of a deeper dive in the definition of hemp and the definition of cannabis. So that THC is the psychoactive component of cannabis and hemp. It is the component that causes the mind-altering effects in the profile.
Hallucinogenic.
You could
Can be.
argue it's psychoactive. It's a
is
psychotrope.
psychoactive.
Hallucinogenic, debatable.
I agree with that.
It's
And,
that's a because
that cracks me up because, we've got some senators that think that it truly is.
well that's not hallucinogenic. That's hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenic.
Sorry for any rednecks out there. We've both lived in the country,
Oh,
so that
my
kind of gives us some
goodness.
right. But hallucinogenic is the claim on the current SB 170. I would encourage you to explore that. And if you didn't listen to the fabulous interview that was, who conducted that?
WHAS by Dwight Whitten
Yeah.
and Tony. Yeah.
Check that out because it is one, awesome, two, hilarious, and the type of magic that you just can't recreate. So yeah, listen to that. Tell
Definitely
you a little bit
huge
about
shout out to
SB
Dwight.
170.
We
Yeah.
might have to have him on our podcast.
That
was
actually,
a lot of
that
fun.
Yeah,
That
that
was
would
a
be
lot of
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. So that being said, all of the THCs, which include Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, naturally occurring and have these effects: feelings of euphoria, altered mind state, hunger stimulation, pain relief, sleep are all attributes of this cannabinoid. It is also the most controversial cannabinoid.
No.
Yes, it's very
Is that the one they made it Schedule 1?
Yeah, they did.
And put it in the same category as heroin?
They did. They did because it, is awesome.
Because it may help
and
people.
helps. And well, we're not going to get
We're
into
not.
opinion because really, actually, this podcast is more fact based than anything, which is kind of cool because I know we go off on what we think, and this is actually what we know. So that being said, give me your 2 cents on this Delta 9.
My 2 cents,
This,
or
this
my opinion on it.
The forbidden fruit.
Well, it's based on weight. It has to be under
Oh, no, no.
0.3%.
I'm getting all into that. We're going
Okay.
to get deep
All
into
right.
that. Just give
Okay.
me your from the top. What do you think about it? Like,
I think it's
enjoy
beneficial.
it?
Do I enjoy it? Yes, absolutely. Do I think it's beneficial to my body? 150 million%. I don't think that percentage is right. But I think it helps. I think people need it. I think people that have certain issues need it. I see nothing wrong with it. If you're an adult, use what you want to use. That's part of being free, right?
Agreed.
So I do believe it's an adult product. I'm okay with that. 21 and up. I mean, really, 18-year-olds are supposedly adults. So I still, I have a 24-year-old, and I'm going to say 21. So, but I see no reason why you couldn't use it. I've definitely used it. I've definitely partake of the THC products. I find them extremely helpful. I am not, I don't use a lot of it. I like microdosing better. I don't feel the need to overuse, I guess, is a word. I like it in small increments. I'm not, I'm very A-type personality, so I like to be in control. So if I take too much and I don't feel like I'm in control, then that might cause issues with me internally, and that I don't like. So I think everybody, you just have to find that right sweet spot if you're going to want to, if you want to try to use it.
Well, that's what's interesting about the hemp-derived, and we'll, again,
It
we'll get into that.
It is different.
Because you're confined to a lower milligram. You're essentially doing a microdose unless you take multiple doses, which is certainly you can, and get the same effect. But I personally, unless you have a serious medical issue, don't see the benefit in the high milligram THC. Furthermore, it seems like THC gets all the press and all the attention.
And all the negative attention too.
Yeah, negative and positive. There's over 115 cannabinoids that have been discovered so far in the cannabis plant, and they all have potential benefits to humans. So everyone really focuses on the THC because of its psychoactive nature. There's a lot of other great stuff out there, and I think that because people hone in on that, especially the marijuana industry, and I don't want to poo-poo the marijuana industry, but it feels like they try to get the biggest, highest milligram that they possibly can, the highest quote-unquote grade, which is going to be the highest content of THC, which transversely has the lowest content of the other cannabinoids.
Especially
And
CBD.
put you out of your mind to where you're freaking out. You're having heart palpitations because your blood pressure drops so sharply. I don't know that's
Well,
awesome.
but again, to each their own.
Right.
If that's something that
You should have
somebody
the
wants
right.
to do, yeah, so be it. So do it. As long as you're not harming anyone in the process, I don't care.
Agreed. You should have the right to do what you want. I mean, and even at that, you can't overdose on it. You can't. There's no long-term adverse effects that we're aware of at this point. It is recommended for adults, and the reason why it's recommended for adults is because in brain development, when you introduce a psychoactive chemical, and again, I'm not a doctor, I don't even pretend to be one, not even on TV. But when you introduce a psychoactive chemical to an undeveloped brain, there could be ramifications of that. No matter what that component is. So just something to be aware of with children.
Well, of course. Anybody that's using these products that are adult products should be responsible and keep them away from children.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There was an article, I can't really quote it, but it was sent to me in my group chat with some friends, and we talk about the strategies and things in this state. And that article was about a 2-year-old popping a gummy in her mouth, and the mom just went ahead and let her eat it. Well, She was in someone else's car, had no idea what kind of gummy that was. Now, I'm sorry, but if that was my child, I would do anything and everything to get whatever that was out of that child's mouth. I wouldn't have just let him eat it. I know
Yeah.
kids put everything in their mouths, but we as responsible adults need to be careful with that, especially if you're in someone else's car. You don't know what what is in their car.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is where we're at with our society, because we're at a point where we expect everything to be spoon fed for us, so we don't have to think for ourselves. Oh, it should be in a container that children shouldn't get to it. Yes, that's a great precaution.
Mhm.
That doesn't take away your responsibility to
Exactly.
make sure if children are going to be around, put that shit someplace where they can't get to it and make sure.
Exactly.
We're in this weird maelstrom where, oh, it wasn't made completely glaringly obvious to me, so I just ran into a brick wall because there wasn't a sign that said brick wall. I mean, we respond like idiots because we're treated like idiots. And it kills me.
Yes, I get
think
it.
for yourself, know what the right thing is, and then educate your children. Don't rely on society, aka the mass media, controlling us to do that on your behalf.
Mm.
That's just ignorant. So, again, we're positive here. We're not negative.
We
But
are positive.
I will
Think
jump
for
up and down,
yourself.
do handstands. I will whatever to encourage people to think for themselves, make smart decisions, engage critical thinking. Just because it says it or doesn't say it on a warning label or a sign or a social media post, that doesn't mean you should or shouldn't do it. That means that's just something to indicate. I mean, every day you should walk your path, making the right and wrong decisions as you see fit, not as you're led to see fit. And that is the sheeple narrative that absolutely has overcome our culture and is hugely disappointing to me. And I struggle with maintaining a positive attitude about it. But because I know we can change, but we have to change. We have to change for the sake of our children, for the sake of our society, so that our kids or kids are working for pennies an hour by a foreign overlord that's essentially running our country, because that's exactly where we're headed, and we're letting it.
Well,
We're
and
letting
that
it
is
happen.
a totally different
Yep.
topic.
Sorry.
Matt. So I'm
Sorry.
gonna bring
Reel
you
me
back,
back
home,
in.
bring you back
Reel
in.
me back
Let's save
in.
that for another day,
All
man.
right.
Cheers.
So,
my coffee.
yes, my
'cause
bad.
I'm addicted to caffeine.
So, all right. So I'm going to circle back. So we all know hemp was made legal in the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018.
Correct.
Super interesting, riveting piece of American literature. If you ever want to read it, I have read multiple sections. I've read probably more of it yesterday than I've ever read before. And let me tell you something. It's rough. It's rough. It's like chewing on. Oh my God, I don't even know.
You got to have a degree in it. Is that what you're saying?
But
so it wasn't just plain English.
Yes, but here's what I love. The section which covers the qualification of hemp is on page 420 of the American Improvement Act.
I hope you all know what 420 is, and if not, we'll have
again.
we'll have
If
a
you
discussion about
if you
that
don't,
later.
the rock thing, go back to the rock, crawl out of it. And it's section 10113, hemp production, section 297A, definitions. The subtitle is hemp production, and it reads, hemp, the term hemp means the plant Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, including its seeds thereof and derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers, whether growing or not, with a delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. Okay, so let's focus on that last line, or that last bit. Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. Okay, so now I'm going to scoot over to the executive summary of the hemp authorities. Section 1.
Who made them the hemp authority?
As of the enactment of 2018 Farm Bill
I've
on
always
December
wondered
20th,
that.
2018, hemp has been removed from Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances Act and is no longer a controlled substance, right? Awesome. Big win. Then I'm going to get into page 3 where it says, this memorandum provides my legal opinion on certain provisions of the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018 and is written by Stephen Alexander Vaden, General Counsel. So Section 1 reads, as of the enactment of the 2018 Farm Bill on December 20th, 2018, hemp has been removed from Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances Act and is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is defined under the 2018 Farm Bill to include any cannabis plant or derivative thereof that contains no more than 0.3% delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol on a dry weight basis.
Now, let me ask you this, Matt. Why do you think they spell it out? Delta 9, Delta 9, Delta 9.
Because you have to be very specific in documents like this. As this document is, it's incredibly specific. And I think that when this was written, they weren't thinking isomers and things like that.
They wrote it in there.
Right. They did. And that's because, they're trying to, and forgive the parlance, but they're trying to pick fly shit out of pepper, right? And that's what they're doing. They're trying to be very specific on what they're limiting, but they have to be specific for legal reasons, right? So now bear with us because this is going to get a little technical. You got that 0.3% on dry weight basis. So what's dry weight basis? So this definition comes from the Law Insider. By the way, all these articles will be in the show notes. I still think I'm a contractor sometimes.
You act like a contractor sometimes too.
All of these will be in the show notes.
Y'all, you better say prayers
and
for
I would
me.
encourage you to read it. So dry weight basis means the ratio of the amount of dry solid in a sample after drying to the total mass of the sample before drying, including the moisture in the sample. Dry weight basis is the percentage of a chemical in a substance after removing the moisture from the substance. Then it gets specifically into THC. Percentages of THC on a dry weight basis means the percentage of THC by weight in a cannabis item, plant extract, or other derivative. Other derivative being the key right there, after excluding moisture from the item. So this is, you've heard.
So it can't be wet.
Right.
Sorry.
Well done.
You're welcome.
Touche. So with that being said, that dry weight basis is key because essentially what it's saying is, okay, you can have 0.3% on a dry weight basis of a derivative. So what they didn't expect, I think, in that 0.3% is that 0.3% can amount to a significant amount of THC.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you an example here of a product that we actually sell. So this product advertises 8 milligrams of THC per serving. Okay, so bear with me because this is actually a good average example for this product. So one unit, which is one gummy, weighs on average 4.35 grams. Okay. So that's going to be 4,350 milligrams, right? Now we're talking about 8 milligrams of THC. Obviously, 8 grams of THC, you would be having a bad time. 8 milligrams of THC, pretty decent dose. I mean, you're going to feel 8 milligrams, unless you are just a habitual marijuana user, in which case you may not. If you're just a standard CBD user, you take 8 milligrams, you're going to feel it.
I would tell you to take
You're
that.
going to know. Yeah, you're going to know. So the Delta 9 THC per unit at 8.0347 milligrams gives you a total THC percentage of 0.185. So that's not even,
Close to the
that's
0.3.
66% of the total limit. So you could, in theory, get another 4 milligrams of THC into that gummy, Now, again, we don't push the compliance
No.
envelope, and we're very cautious with all of our products to make sure that we're not breaking any laws, and we do maintain compliance. But that is a heck of a lot of THC to get into one gummy that's federally legal and fits within the 2018 Farm Bill, provided that THC is derived from hemp. So that is just a very interesting loophole and a very interesting way to get some Delta 9 THC into your life without having to worry about breaking state or federal law.
Well, I mean, there are bills sitting out there. I don't, if they've passed by now, once people hear this, I'm not positive. Can't really predict that future. But, there's medical marijuana's up for vote in Kentucky. It limits people to what reasons they can get medical marijuana. And the thing about these products is we don't discriminate. Anybody can use them as long as they're over 21, and we will actually educate you on how to use them. That is the number one thing that we have always stuck by at 502 Hemp. Yes, I'm plugging that. But it's all about education. And I think there are a lot of products out there that I would be concerned with. We have even pulled products that we have been concerned with. And it has been more of a self-governing that we have done in the hemp industry, which I think is extremely important, because while we are hempsters or whatever you want to call us, we are pro-plant, period. Pro-plant, it's the plant. It's the same plant, people. But I think that's important. It's important that we look at these certificates of analysis that we have talked about before and make sure that they are 100% correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree with you on that same level. There does need to be some regulation, but not just a banning, and not let's close this loophole. Let's work within the loophole. Let's make it something that is safe and productive for everyone. And let's not let money and political interests corrupt this, because it's the people who figured out this loophole. That's a very creative way of thinking.
I think so too.
That's someone engaging critical thought.
Right.
That's someone saying, "Well, wait
and
a
it's
second."
capitalism at its best.
Right.
Isn't
And
that-
what I really like about this, that is, again, not poo-pooing the marijuana industry, is they're CBD products, they're hemp products. So you're getting that you can get that rich cannabinoid blend with a high concentration of THC, which a lot of people need. Whereas the marijuana industry is, oh, how much, can we get 200 milligrams of THC? Let's do it. Nobody really in the marijuana industry talks that much about CBD and the other, 114 plus cannabinoids out there that have the potential to do great benefit. So yeah, it would medical marijuana, recreational marijuana in Kentucky or federally legal be awesome? Yes, it would. But not to the disparagement of the CBD industry.
I agree.
Essentially what we're saying is there's a lot of room in the CBD sector.
They can coexist.
Yeah.
Hemp and marijuana can coexist for different reasons. They can coexist. And I think that's the most important thing, that anyone and everyone, we all got to band together in order to get some things changed.
Right. And just speaking from a political and legal perspective, the definition of hemp and marijuana only being differentiated by that 0.3% is a little ridiculous. I mean, where does that 0.3% come from? It's archaic, it's unnecessary, and it's a bit like to go back in contractor mode. You know why studs are 16 inches on center?
No clue.
Because that's how long the hammer, the average hammer was. So they put their hammer between the studs, and that's how 16 inches on center. Do studs need to be on 16 on center? No.
Gotcha.
No. They can be 20 inches. They can be 24 inches. They can be 12
We've
inches.
all been lied to about the inches are anyway,
I know.
so it doesn't matter.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
I tell MK it was 12 inches all the time. She don't believe me. Anyway, so the point is, we all need to revisit this and say, okay, let's take this 0.3%.
It sounds like another episode we may have to be
throw
talking
it
about.
behind our backs, and let's talk about what's the healthiest for people, what's the best for people, and that there is no one. Like there are multiple variations of plants, and you don't need to necessarily quote unquote genetically engineer a cannabis plant to make it one way or the other.
GMO's bad.
Yeah, you can very easily influence these plants to produce a variation of cannabinoids that might be best suited for one purpose or the other. But it really starts with the education, and it starts with allowing these things to happen.
Agreed. Well, cool. I think that wraps this episode up. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, leave comments, especially when Matt says something funny. We appreciate you. Hope we'll see you soon. Keep it hempy out there.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hempin' Happiness with the Hemp Queen
and Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
keep it hempy out there.